welcome back to the show. I'm Dr. Amory Wild, and I'm met here today with Dr. Faith Nelson. And today we have a really great episode about knowledge and the importance of getting your own knowledge and not just trusting everything that you hear around you. To start it off, I'm actually going to start off with a scripture. It's Hosea 4:6, which is paraphrased down to, "My people perish from a lack of knowledge." Dr. Faith, what do you think?
When I heard that scripture a couple of years ago, it really hit me how important it was. And over the last couple of years, I think the reason why I'm taking time to do classes and podcasts and things like that in the future, at some point I've started writing a book and that will be published, but it's because I feel like people are looking for what the truth is and they can't find it. And sometimes the answers that they are finding are actually causing more damage than they are good. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example, and then I'll kind of tell you what naturally we see differently. But I used to live in Wyoming, and there was a lady there that I knew, and I actually knew her daughter-in-law better than her. And so I was talking with her daughter-in-law, and this lady had breast cancer and was receiving treatment out of Texas and was paying a lot of money, thousands and thousands of dollars every single month for it. And one of the things, when I was talking with her daughter-in-law, she told me that they were also giving her hormones. And it hit me like, what do you mean they're giving her hormones? And she was like, yeah, estrogen, progesterone, she's on hormones. Now, I get why a doctor would give them hormones. Again, I haven't looked at her case, but, you need muscles. You need hormones to build muscles, and muscle mass is going to help you in a lot of different areas. So I understand that. But what this lady didn't know, and whoever was prescribing her the hormones, was that progesterone helps things to grow, whether that's a baby. So if you're getting pregnant and then you're miscarrying, your progesterone is probably low. Out of balance. But it also helps things to grow, like tumors or cancers. So she was trying to fight and kill the cancer and was feeding it at the same time. And it's not just her. Since we've opened our place here in Idaho, we've had numerous people come through the door, and the problems that they're coming in for are symptoms from pharmaceutical medicines that they're on. And it almost makes me speechless, like, did you not look into this? And a lot of times they just take whoever prescribed these things for them at face value. And I want to be like, no, you always got to read. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. There might be a time where I'm like, okay, pharmaceutical drugs aren't bad for you. Maybe you should do them. I don't know. I haven't hit that point. But I don't want to say it's out of my realm, because there are some things, that you maybe in the future would need it for. I don't know right now. But before you take it, you should definitely read the research, and not even pharmaceuticals. Like the nicotine patch is a big one right now. I'm not saying it's not helping people, but I've had several clients come in and ask me about it, and I haven't researched it myself. So I'm like, you can try it. I'm not against you trying it. And they come back in and they report that it made them so sick. Mm-hmm. Again, maybe it's working for some people, but maybe it wasn't what you needed either. And so knowledge is a big thing. People always ask me, who should they follow on social media and things like that? And honestly, at this point, I'm like, know who it is, and I don't really recommend anybody right now, because I might agree with this, but they're not seeing the whole picture here. Like when we went to school, we learned that you don't just look at the symptoms and prescribe. We don't prescribe, we recommend herbal supplements. or food. Sometimes it's food, different things like that, minerals. But you actually look at the body as a whole. And I love that there's an analogy that there was an elephant that walked by this village, and there was 7 blind men who went out to go see what the elephant looked like. And there's this picture, and all of them are touching different parts of the elephant. One has the tail, one has the hoof, one has the nose, and all these different things, the ears. And they're all like, oh, I see what the elephant is. And some people are like, it's like a wall. No, another one's like, it's like a snake. And all these different analogies. All of these men, blind men, were right, but yet they were all wrong at the same time because they weren't seeing the picture or the elephant as a whole. And naturally, that's kind of what we're taught, is to not just look at the symptoms, but really to look at the whole body and see what's going on in the whole body. It's not just symptoms. Those are just because something is out of balance in the body, and the body is trying to tell you it needs help.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people today get caught up with a lot of influencers, and I think it's important to understand that there is a difference between an influencer and an actual medical professional.
Oh, for sure.
And some of those influencers will be like, yes, I took this every day and it changed my life. I had these symptoms, and you're like, oh, those are the exact symptoms I have. I'm going to take it. And it makes you really sick. And you need to be really cautious. Like, okay, it worked for this person. Maybe. Not all influencers are truthful. Sometimes they don't even take it and they're selling it like they did. You need to look into it. What are medical professionals? And if you don't even like natural medicine, it doesn't matter. Look at it from the point of view of your regular doctor. What would your regular doctor say about this? You need to find what truth is for you, because I'm not going to tell you, don't try this, If you feel like this is something you need to try, then go ahead and try it, but make sure you do your research into it, because we get some very, very sick people in the door who did not do their research. There's, even my grandpa is like, oh, I saw, this commercial from, I think it was Carrie Underwood or Kelly Clarkson or whoever it was, and she lost 50 pounds on this pill, so I bought it. And it made him so sick. He ended up in the emergency room.
It did. It ended up shutting his kidneys down.
And it is so important to do your own research and not just trust at face value. Like Kelly Clarkson or whoever it is, she's not a medical professional. You can't take her word for
a lot of times people use celebrities. AI is amazing. It is amazing and scary all at the same time. And so it could be she took it and lost that weight, but I'm sure she was doing it how it was prescribed to her. But not everybody is her. And I have no issues with her, but everyone's body is different and needs different things. And so it's important to know your body and to know that you're different. We've had people, clients who came in who have really bad tremors, only to find out that 3 of the different medications they're on causes tremors, and his one thing was he wanted to get back to woodworking, but with the tremors, he couldn't do woodworking. And, you really need to understand what you're taking, but it's not always pharmaceuticals. Like sometimes it's herbal supplements as well. And so it's really good to do your own research on things.
There is a ton of supplement companies out there that will sell you on weight loss pills, or these are the only micronutrients that you'll ever need, and those can cause a lot of harm as well. They're taking different pieces of nutrients and putting them in there, so you're not getting the whole nutrient. And we had someone talking about zinc poisoning yesterday. Well, if you are taking zinc in a natural substance, like pumpkin seeds and fish, you're not going to get zinc toxicity. You're not going to get too much zinc.
Yeah.
But when you take the zinc out of all of that and you put it in this little pill, you need that iron to break down zinc. You need all of these other things to break down the zinc. So yes, it is very easy to get too much of something. It's not that you're getting too much zinc, it's that it's stripping your body of the other nutrients to break it down. And that is a really, really big thing that we see a lot of with people coming in, and they think, I have all of these supplements, I'm spending thousands of dollars on supplements, but the problem is that it's not coming from a natural source.
It's coming from lab-made, chemical-made.
And then it's stripping their body of the nutrients it needs to break down those. And eventually, your body just can't do it, and it gets tired, and then more symptoms will arise.
No, very true, very true.
And we've seen
it's the one thing I tell people is read your labels, even on supplements.
Especially on supplements.
Because if they're not plant food-based, then they're not natural. And you know me, I'm big into it needs to be natural if you're going to put it in your body. Otherwise, you're just filling your body with chemicals, hoping that it's going to fix itself. And we've seen through time that actually, as time has gone on, people have gotten sicker instead of healthier.
Absolutely. And that's another thing with the nicotine patches. I can't tell you why they work for some people, but I can tell you every single client that has come in here that has tried them off of the recommendation of someone else has gotten worse and has gotten sicker. And it has caused skin irritations, it's caused them to have diarrhea, it has sent them to the hospital. Like, they didn't do enough research into these. And then you have other people like, oh well, if they had done more research, they would have done a smaller dose. Well, who's telling them this? It's the influencers that are like, this is the symptom, this is how you're going to treat it. And I think another really big thing that people aren't seeing with pharmaceuticals, and if you need pharmaceuticals, like, that is your discretion, you do what you need to do. But we actually get a lot of clients that come in that want to go off of their pharmaceuticals. And one in particular, she was wanting to go off of some of her anxiety and depression medication because she was feeling better. And so she told her medical doctor that she wanted to go off of this certain prescription because there's a lot of side effects with it. And if she forgets to take it, she has vertigo, she can't function, and so she doesn't want her body to be reliant on it anymore. And he gave her a book about the about what will happen going off of it, because it is so addictive that she'll have to admit herself into a hospital for observation because the withdrawals are so bad, and it will cause so much pain, and it's going to be a very unpleasant experience. And she said, if I had known about that, I never would have gotten on this pharmaceutical. And so I feel like sometimes for some people, pharmaceuticals might be necessary, but you need to do your research into it. Like, what are the side effects of it? Is this going to cause me tremors? Is this going to cause this? One of her biggest things is inflammation. One of the biggest side effects is that it causes systemic inflammation. And you just don't know what you don't know. But none of these doctors are paid to tell you the possible side effects. They're paid to get you on the pill.
Oh yeah.
And so you need to do your own research before you start taking something. Like, do the benefits outweigh the cons in this case? And it might be for you that it does, and that's okay. But you need to be aware of what could happen if you're on it.
I totally agree. It's why I think that scripture, people will die from lack of knowledge. And we see a society out there today that's really sick. A lot of times people think they're living longer, but people have said, and I agree with this, that people are age-wise living longer, but they're dying sooner, that they die 10 to 20 years before they actually are buried in the ground. And it's because of brain fog, movement, they just stop living, because they're tired and because they can't think and because they have all these health issues, they stop living, aches and pains. I got a lot of people that come in here that tell me, oh, that's just normal, it's just aging. And I'm like, you know what? You do not have to age and be sick. You can age healthy and energized and actually continuing to grow that health is how I look at it, you know?
And a lot of times they're in their 30s, which really isn't old.
No,
Like,
it's
that's
not old.
aging.
No. And when I tell them I turned 50 this last year, I think a lot of people are really surprised by that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know, it's part of a mindset that I want to be healthy and I'm going to do what I need to get healthy, you know, and that's eating and it's exercise. Well, I do a slight exercise. It's good habits, you know, but it also is gaining knowledge because knowledge has taken me in different places, and some of the knowledge I gained early in my years, I was the wrong knowledge for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast or not, but I was diagnosed pre-diabetic probably 20 years ago, or not 20 years ago, probably about 12 years ago. And I took out all that gluten and processed sugar, but I added corn in. And corn ended up is something that I'm allergic to, and I didn't realize it at the time because I didn't really eat a lot of corn before then. And that corn actually made me really sick. But a lot of people experience the same things. They take out something and they add something else in, thinking it's better for them, and sometimes it's not. Yeah. And so it's also one of the reasons why I feel like I want people to be able to receive revelation for themselves. So it's why when they do come in and they're like, hey, can I try this nicotine patch? I'm like, yeah, go ahead and try it. Like, I don't care if you try it or not. I'm never going to tell them no, because I want people to be receiving revelation for themselves about their health and the things they should be doing. It's important. I think it's part of that growing and gaining health knowledge.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, like going with the knowledge, one of the biggest things that we do see is the effect where people see symptoms on social media and they almost convince themselves that they're sicker.
Mm-hmm. And that they have all those symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We have several people that will come in and be like, oh, I have this disease and this disease and this disease, and then you find out they haven't been diagnosed with any of it. They follow an influencer or a person who has all those symptoms, and they've convinced themselves that they have those symptoms and that they're just as sick as this person, so they must have this and they must have that as well.
Yeah, I call it the placebo negative effect. I fully believe in the placebo effect.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been proven by science time and time again. But I also think that you can spend too much time following other people who have different things, and then you get those same symptoms. Let me give you an example. My husband was diagnosed with Lyme's disease, I don't even know, a long time ago. And he started looking up Lyme's disease groups on Facebook. And anyway, and they were talking about all these symptoms they have. And he started developing all these symptoms. And so he informed me that if something needed to be looked up for Lyme's disease, I would have to do it, because he couldn't, because the more he read about it, the more sicker he actually became. And true story, you could ask him about it. And I think that goes with everyone. I think a lot of times we read things and it's negative, and we start to get those same symptoms. And I think it's something we should be aware of and be careful of as well. Mm-hmm. So
we had a client in this last week, and one of her friends has a pretty rare cancer, and you know, she's fighting it in her own way, really struggling. But our client, who's friends with her, was saying that she's like, it was the weirdest thing. She was telling me about this pain she has in her back, going down her legs, and I had the exact same pain. And, you know, she'd almost started to convince herself she was as sick as her friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so not that you shouldn't have friends and you need to, like, avoid all negativity, but when you're constantly surrounded by it with social media and with your group of people, like, you have to escape it somewhere. And I think social media is the best way to escape it, kind of get away from some of that negativity on the social media and kind of try to find more positive things
and then really see what's going on with your
and then
body
really
that
see what's
you
going
need to work
with your
on.
body.
I would agree. All right.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We hope that you got a lot of knowledge from this podcast. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to see on a later podcast, let us know.